Hey, everybody, and welcome to Industry Connections. Today, as you can see, we have John Prignano and Eric McCowan from MTI. MTI, I'm happy to say, was a charter member of the Corporate Partner Program many years ago, and we're thrilled that they have continued to support our member theaters so beautifully and generously. MTI has done some amazing things. John is the COO and Director of Education and Development, and under the banner of development, they've done so much with new projects, new ideas for our community theaters, and things that have helped us all to make money. So I won't take up his time because he's got lots of cool things to say, and I know you're going to enjoy this hour with them. And we appreciate you all joining us today. So I'm going to fade out and let John take it away.
Hi all, welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining and having me. I recognize a lot of the names on here, so I've met and talked to a lot of you. So all of you know that I love questions. I love having conversation. I love answering, the crazy stuff that you think is crazy, but I just think it's part of the business because it has to be part of the business because you're asking the question. So we'll have a lot of time for Q&A, but I just want to go over some new stuff that's happening at MTI. I want to go through some of our newer releases that are coming up. We have a new show that we're going to be releasing very soon at the end of the month. It's a jukebox musical based on country music. It's called May We All. It was produced in Nashville. It's a fun musical. It's music from all different artists from the country genre. And the story is very, very sweet and very lovely. It's, basically a love story about a woman who lived in a small town, who was a star in the small town and moves to the big city of Nashville to become a star. And she ultimately moves home to visit her family and realizes that's where her heart belongs, is home. And it's very sweet, but it really highlights some great music. Another show we're going to be releasing very soon is 17 Again. This show has been bouncing around for a while. I know we did. I think we originally started talking about licensing it back in 2018. And a lot's happened since then, but we're getting to the point of releasing it. It was the Zac Efron movie, if everyone remembers that movie. So it's based on that movie, so it's sweet and fun, and it's great for family audiences. Both of these. May We All is also another great for family audiences musical. We're releasing very soon another show that it was brought to us from our partners over in the UK. It's the same people who did Back to the 80s. It's called Pop Stars. It is a jukebox musical about you. Can you guess? Pop stars. Yeah. So it's skews a little younger, but again, it would work great with a mixed cast. Another show that we're just getting ready to release that played at Lincoln Center is called Flying Over Sunset. It's a visually gorgeous musical with some great music. The story it's a fictional story about three famous people who in the 50s who go on a controlled LSD trip. So if that sounds interesting to you, which it really is. The description is odd, but it's very interesting. So I would suggest reading it. Another show that we're just kind of putting out there is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We'll be opening it up for general licensing very soon. So if you're interested, that was the that was the most recent version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that played in London, then it played in New York, and it's still on tour, actually. It's on tour through the end of June. So that's why we're just going to be just opening up to general licensing very soon. We will be licensing a new version of the Unsinkable Molly Brown. This is a version of the show that was reimagined by Dick Scanlon, who did the book for Thoroughly Modern Millie. He did a lot of research with this. He also was given permission to go into Meredith Willson's basement and go through all of his trunk songs, and has reimagined the story of Molly Brown. And it's very much a love story between Molly and JJ, her husband, JJ Brown. So if you like traditional musicals and you're a fan of Molly Brown, this will be a fun one to read also. We will also, this is one that everyone's been asking about, Finding Nemo Jr. Finding Nemo Jr. will be available for licensing in January of 2023. One other show that we're going to be releasing into general release very soon. We've done some large regional licensing. Is going to be Beautiful. It's a title that everyone knows. It's the story of oh gosh, her name just left me. One of my faves,
Carole King.
Thank you, Carole King from The Voice Above. Yeah, so it's a fun musical. I don't know if anyone saw it on tour or in New York. It's a great, fun, energetic musical that I think is just wonderful. And the last thing to talk about, which isn't really going to be available for most all of you, but I want you to be aware of it, is we're doing a special release of Mean Girls. We're doing Mean Girls high school version. It's Mean Girls that is going to be released in the school market, and it will have an errata sheet for all the changes that schools will need to make. Most of these are, Eric's going to be posting a link for everyone. In that link, we have a bunch of free reads. So Beautiful's part of that. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the new Beauty and the Beast is going to be part of our free reads. Catch Me If You Can, Kinky Boots, Groundhog Day, Working, the localized version. What is that? Working has been reimagined in a way that encourages you and gives you information. It gives you guidance on how to include local workers into your production, obviously via video and stuff. But it's a fun new way of looking at working, but including your community. Disasters on the list, Rocky's on the list, Catch Me If You Can, Cry Baby, West Side Story, A Wop Bop a Lubop, Christmas Skates, Estella Scrooge, Rags, Ink Transit, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, Lucky Stiff, Pop Stars, Burnt Park Boys, and The Pirate Queen are all part of your free read. So make sure you get that link and you go to this page. This is specifically curated for this event, for the industry connections for you guys. There's a lot. It's basically an MTI virtual gift bag. So that's what I have to say about that. I see some questions in our chat. Anything? Do you want to? Eric, do you want to go?
Yeah, John, we have one question from Mark about Mean Girls. Will Mean Girls School Edition only be available to high school theater programs, or can community theaters do this title?
Unfortunately, it's only going to be available to schools, accredited schools, high school, middle school, if they decide to do it, which I'm sure there will be some middle schools, but it's not going to be available to community theaters or after school programs. Why do they bring it up? Because I just wanted you to know that. I know it's gonna get announced very soon, and you're gonna see it. So I just wanted to kind of get it out there before you started to see it and the questions started to come in and all of that. Other questions in there, Eric?
No other questions at the moment, but we do have the Q&A feature. If anyone wants to put any questions there, we'll make sure to get to those. But feel free to chat with us as well.
Eric, did you not see the question in the Q&A there?
I did, but that one we'll handle just on a one-on-one.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, so again, I love questions because it really gives me opportunity to really address things that you're thinking about. But while you're thinking about those questions, I'll talk a little about some of our newer resources or revamped resources or resources that I think everyone should know about because they are really useful in the community theater world. The first thing I really like to talk about is we have a partnership with a company called Keyboard Tech. They will be providing all of the keyboard parts for most all of MTI shows. We're working with the newer shows and then trying to work backwards through our catalog to kind of update the show, to kind of provide it for the shows, the little bit older shows. But it's a great opportunity. It's actually a great resource because it gives you the actual, in most cases, they've made a deal with the creators of the actual sounds from the Broadway pits. So it's a great company. We've had some great feedback. We've been working with them for about 2 years now. Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. The other resource I'd like to chat with you about is our BMD projections. These are projections that we have available for many of our shows. A lot of the projections, like Gentleman's Guide, are the actual projections that were used on Broadway. You can now rent them from Broadway Media and use them in your production. The standard full length is about $850 for a 4-week rental. Each additional week is $125. The standard junior rental is $450 for 4 weeks, $125 each additional week. And then we have something called the Pro version, which again, I'm not sure would be appropriate for any of you, but the Pro version is $1,800, $1,795. It just gives you a little more freedom in how it works. But in my opinion, the standard works extremely well, and it does some great stuff. But if you're interested in the Pro, you can look into that also.
John, we did have a couple of questions come in.
Sure.
One is, can MTI share with the AACT community any shows or a list of shows that will be going on tour and thus about to be restricted? This would be really helpful as we all come up with our seasons.
That's a really good question. I don't have the list in front of me. The other thing is, the way it works with tours is just because the show is going on tour doesn't mean it's a blanket restriction. Many of you in more rural areas know that, even though a show's on tour, you can still get the rights to the show. It's all about the timing of when the tour is going to be playing near you. So, I would hate to put something out there like, Fiddler. I mean, I know Fiddler's probably a bad example because I know a lot of you have been trying to get Fiddler for years and haven't been able to because of the tour. But, for example, if, the tour is not playing near your area, we would be able to give you a license. So it's not a blanket no just because the show is out on tour. We have a lot of shows on tour. I can, again, I'm a little hesitant to put that list out there because, I still would love you to ask because there's always the possibility that it might be available at that time period you're looking for. Or if you send it to us, we might even be able to come back to you and say, look, if you could do it 2 months later, then I could give you a license. So it's really, worth the opportunity, the time to reach out and ask about the shows, even though they might be on tour.
John, there's another question. Will Finding Nemo Jr. be a new works showcase at JTF 2023? Or can it be licensed or auditioned at the beginning of January?
I believe it was already a new work showcase. Finding Nemo got pushed back, I believe, from 2018 or 9. I can't remember. It's been, 20 and 21 are just a blur to me. But it was originally going to be released, and then it got pulled back, and then COVID happened, and then Moana got released, and that took precedence over Finding Nemo. But it will be released around in early January. I think we said around somewhere between January 10th and January 15th. It'll be available for licensing at that time.
John, with The Music Man just announcing that it is closing on Broadway at the end of this year, does this mean it will be able to be licensed for next summer?
Probably, assuming
specifically in New Jersey for this question.
Yeah, I saw that. New Jersey, and unfortunately, the restriction has only been around the New York area. In theory, if it's closing, you should be able to get a license for the show next summer.
John, what products does Keyboard Tech provide? Rehearsal tracks, full backing tracks, specifically asking for a theater that can't accommodate a pit orchestra?
Okay. Keyboard Tech does not provide tracks. Keyboard Tech provides the technology for the keyboard parts that are in the score. So not even the keyboard parts. Let me rephrase that. They provide the programming for specific, like the drum programming or the specific keyboard programming that is not a keyboard part in a show. So, for instance, in Rent, there's a lot of keyboard programming that, especially during Glory, where it's that weird kind of bang, bum, 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 bum. Those are keyboard sounds. Those are not an actual instrument. That is a keyboard sound that is created. Sometimes they're instruments, like the drum patch. The drum patches are drums, but they're patches that aren't provided in the materials that you could use through Keyboard Tech. If you are looking for a full pit orchestra, we do have performance accompaniment recordings. We have them for many of our shows, most of the new shows, and you could purchase those right from MTI. The cost of them are, for theaters that are 500 seats or greater, it's $999 for up to 10 performances, and each performance after 10 is $100. If you're 499 seats or less, it is $750 for up to 10 performances and $100 per performance after that. It's a proprietary software that you would need to download and play the tracks through them. Unfortunately, for the performance tracks, we only have it available on Mac operating systems. Our rehearsal tracks are available on both Mac and PC, but the performance tracks are only available for Mac users. And that's our performance accompaniment recordings. So those are that's the difference between Keyboard Tech they're not rehearsal tracks. They are the patches that you would use as part of your keyboard set. I hope that I was able to differentiate the difference between the two. If not, just pop another question in there, and I'm happy to elaborate more if I did not make myself clear.
And we did put a couple of links in the chat for more info on those resources.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, those are great resources. Our website has a lot of information about all these resources, how they're used, what technology you need, what hardware you need, and how you can actually license them. Another one of our resources that I'd like to kind of just remind everyone about is our RehearseScore app. It's an app that that works on your phone. It's really a great tool. If you haven't used it, it's a great way to enhance and multiply your rehearsals. Not only do you get it for the music director and the director and the choreographer, but each one of your cast members can actually access the RehearseScore tracks from the app. Now, these are for rehearsal only. These are only piano. They're the piano part. They're the accompaniment along with the vocal lines. You can toggle off the accompaniment, so you can just hear like the piano clunking out your vocal lines, or you could turn off the vocal line and just hear it once you're ready and hear it just with the accompaniment, so that you can get used to singing without your notes being plunked out. They're fully editable in the sense that, if you're doing Damn Yankees and you get to Who's Got the Pain and there's 102 bar drum solo for Lola, and it's just not going to work, it's not possible, you can actually edit it down to 6 measures, and you can then save that and push it out to your cast and say, this is the new version of this song, so that they're not learning it with all those extra measures in it. And that's for any of the songs in the shows that the RehearseScore app is available for. So that's a great tool. That is $350 for each title. And again, you would get as soon as you pay for it. Once the license is signed and paid for, you will get the RehearseScore app immediately. So, some of you can start rehearsing a year and a half in advance. Doesn't that sound fun to rehearse a year and a half in advance? Some of our other resources that I think are worth mentioning are our logo packs. Our logo packs are great tools for $75. You get all the original artwork, or the most cases it's the original Broadway artwork. Some cases it's the artwork from the revival, and in some cases where we weren't able to obtain the rights to the artwork, we had an artist create logos for those shows to be able to provide them to you. We have our video license available for a lot of our shows. For those of you who want to make a video, have a video license, and then be able to keep it as an archive, this is a great way to do that. Eric, is there another question?
Not right. Oh, yes, actually there is in the chat. Is piano and orchestra accompaniment available digitally for tablets versus print?
You say that again?
Is piano and orchestra accompaniment available digitally for tablets instead of just in print?
Okay, I'm assuming you're talking about like the piano vocal score and the orchestra parts for shows. They are not. They are still just available in hard copies at the moment. We do have a couple of shows that are digital only, where they would be provided digitally, but only for those shows where the full show is provided digitally will it be available. Any other question, Eric?
Not at the moment.
Okay. How much time do I have? I have a couple of more minutes. Oh, another one just popped up. Can you see that, Eric?
It's not a question, just a comment.
Has there ever, what does it say? Or is that something we would
It's
move to?
from Mark Morgan. Has there ever been thought given to making songs optional when juniorizing shows, i.e. allowing her voice to be sung if you have a Prince Eric who can sing?
No, we haven't thought about that. Only because, you know, when we juniorize a show, the edits become very specific. And once we want to, adding something back in just isn't adding a song back in. It's sometimes, you know, there's a scene that needs to be built around it, or transitions or transitional music that we wouldn't have. So we don't normally include optional songs. All right, so I know I have 2 minutes left. I just want to take a moment and say, I always enjoy having these moments with everyone. Again, I learned so much from you guys. I learned what your needs are, what, you know, your issues are, stumbling blocks, you know, all of that stuff I learned from you. So anytime you have the opportunity, reach out to me. Most of you have my email. You can access my email from the website. I'm happy to answer individual questions. I see you at conferences, so always take a moment to say hello and have a conversation. I really enjoy meeting everyone. You know, the community, you know, MTI is a strong advocate for the community theaters. We know that you're the backbone of this industry and what we do. I mean, you know, you've helped give opportunities to so many people who probably would have never gone into this industry if you weren't there giving them an opportunity when they were young adults and, you know, and beyond. So I just want to say thank you for all that you do. And I love working with you guys, and I hope to see you all again soon. Any other questions before we sign off? Oh, look at that, right at 2:30. Come on, that was good. Kiana, that was good.
It was very good. Winston is a wonderful stage manager too, as well. Well, I just want to say, as executive director for AACT, once again, thank you for coming on, answering your questions. Both you and Eric are so accessible and so genuine and honest with the information that you share and your interest in our needs, and we appreciate that. A few housekeeping things. Just want to let you guys know we have a few more webinars coming up. We've got the Accessibility Toolkit Roundtable that will be taking place on September the 20th. We also have a virtual masterclass on October the 6th. Give me a second. And it is Making Something Out of Nothing, Big Designs with Tiny Budgets. So I think a lot of people can appreciate that and learn a lot from that virtual masterclass. And the biggest thing, our AACT Fest. So registration is open right now for AACT Fest. And thank you to MTI for being a corporate partner and sponsor for AACT Fest. So if you have not registered, register now. There's big savings involved with registering at the early bird rate. We will be in Louisville, Kentucky, June the 12th through the 20th. And let's see. I think that is it. And thank you again all for joining us. And I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.